What if I told you that the environment you spend 8 hours a day in is slowly destroying the most powerful part of who you are? Stay with me, because what Carl Jung discovered about certain psychological types explains why the traditional workplace is silently crushing empaths and why most of them don't even realize it's happening. Carl Jung said that every individual possesses a dominant psychological function, a primary lens through which they experience reality. And for empaths, that lens is feeling, not emotion, not sentimentality. Feeling as a cognitive function, a way of processing the world that most corporate structures were never designed to accommodate. Here's what most people don't understand about empaths in the workplace. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll never see the 9 to 5 the same way again. According to Carl Jung's theory of psychological types, individuals with dominant feeling function operate through a fundamentally different operating system than the one modern workplaces reward. The corporate world was built on what Jung called thinking function dominance, logic, hierarchy, measurable output, emotional detachment as professionalism. But here's the problem Jung identified, and it's absolutely devastating when you understand its implications. Empaths don't just work, they absorb. Every tension in the meeting room, every passive-aggressive email, every colleague's unspoken frustration, it doesn't just pass through them, it lodges itself into their nervous system. Jung called this psychic contamination, the unconscious absorption of other people's emotional states. And in a 9 to 5 environment, this contamination happens 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, without pause. But here's where it gets truly alarming. Carl Jung discovered that when an individual is forced to operate through their inferior function for extended periods, something dangerous occurs. He called it psychic inflation, followed by collapse. The empath sitting in that cubicle, smiling through meetings, pretending office politics don't affect them, is performing what Jung termed chronic persona identification. They're wearing a mask that doesn't fit, and the longer they wear it, the further they drift from their authentic self. Listen carefully to what happens next, because this is where the real damage begins. According to Jung's research on the unconscious, when someone suppresses their dominant function, the shadow doesn't stay quiet. It rebels. The empath who forces themselves into a rigid corporate structure starts experiencing what Jung called neurotic symptoms. Unexplained exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, anxiety that has no visible source, a creeping sense of emptiness that no promotion or pay raise can fill. This isn't burnout in the way most people understand it. It's what Jung termed a crisis of meaning. The psyche is screaming that something fundamental is wrong. And here's what will absolutely change how you see everything. Carl Jung observed that certain individuals are what he called porous psychic types. They don't have the same emotional boundaries that others naturally possess. In a controlled environment, this is extraordinary. It's advanced perception. It's the ability to read a room before a single word is spoken, to sense a lie before it's fully formed, to understand dynamics that everyone else misses. But in a 9 to 5 environment, surrounded by competing egos, artificial deadlines, and emotional dishonesty, this same gift becomes a form of daily psychological assault. The empath doesn't just get tired at work, they get invaded. But here's the part that will send chills down your spine. According to Carl Jung, the most devastating consequence of living against your psychological type isn't exhaustion. It's what he called the loss of the self. The empath who spends years in an environment that rewards emotional suppression begins to forget who they are. They lose access to their intuition. Their creativity withers. Their ability to feel deeply, the very thing that makes them extraordinary, becomes something they numb just to survive Monday through Friday. Jung said that nothing is more dangerous than a life lived in contradiction to one's nature. And for empaths trapped in traditional work structures, that contradiction plays out every single day. What happens next is what Jung called the return of the repressed, and it changes everything. Carl Jung discovered that the psyche has a self-correcting mechanism. When someone has strayed too far from their authentic path, the unconscious sends increasingly urgent signals. First come the physical symptoms, the headaches, the insomnia, the mysterious illnesses that no doctor can explain. Then come the emotional eruptions, sudden rage, unexpected tears, a growing intolerance for things they used to accept without question. This isn't weakness. Jung understood it as the psyche's attempt to save itself. The unconscious is staging a revolt against a life that doesn't fit. And here's where the psychology gets absolutely fascinating. According to Carl Jung's concept of individuation, every person has a unique psychological blueprint, a path that aligns with their deepest nature. For empaths, this path almost never runs through a fluorescent-lit office with mandatory meetings and performance reviews. Jung observed that feeling-dominant types thrive in environments that honor depth over speed, meaning over metrics, connection over competition. The empath doesn't need a corner office. They need a purpose that resonates with their soul. But here's the final revelation, and it's what makes this absolutely game-changing. Carl Jung said that the greatest tragedy isn't failure, it's succeeding at something that doesn't matter to you. The empath who climbs the corporate ladder, hits every target, earns every bonus, and still feels hollow inside is living proof of this principle. They haven't failed. They've succeeded at the wrong game entirely. Jung discovered that when feeling dominant individuals finally align their work with their psychological type, something extraordinary occurs. He called it the activation of the self. Energy returns. Creativity floods back. The chronic fatigue that no amount of coffee could fix disappears because the psyche is no longer fighting against itself. The empath who leaves the 9-to-5 doesn't become lazy. They become unleashed. They don't lose their work ethic. They redirect it towards something that feeds them instead of draining them. They stop trading their energy for a paycheck and start investing it in work that honors their depth, their sensitivity, their extraordinary ability to feel what others can't. This is what Jung called alignment with the self. And it's the most powerful transformation an empath can experience. Carl Jung said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. For empaths, that journey almost never begins in a cubicle. It begins the moment they stop forcing themselves into a structure that was never built for the way they experience the world. They were never meant to fit in. They were meant to create something entirely new. And once they understand that, according to everything Jung discovered about the human psyche, they become absolutely unstoppable. The 9-to-5 doesn't just limit the empath, it buries them. And what Jung's work teaches us is that nothing buried stays quiet forever. The only question is whether the empath will free themselves before the weight of that contradiction becomes too much to bear. And that, according to Carl Jung, is not a matter of ambition. It's a matter of psychological survival.